Hambini fans, and welcome to an episode of the Shite and Sarcasm Engineering Show. Today we have a Q&A. The Sunday Reaming Q&A, no less. I've decided to ditch roast, that's not my word, whereas Q&A and reaming are. We need to check that pen is working. The pen is working! And it's been working quite well. Right, in today's episode, by Hambini, aged 5. First of all, we will be having an apology, then a few shout outs, a €500 shout out, what all that's about, a few comments about the GCN Lotus 109 video, and finally the actual Q&A. Right, first of all, shout outs. I need to give a shout out to Mark from Laminar Products or Laminar Wheels for lending me a set of wheels, and my colleagues actually, for quite some time to do some baseline testing with. The wheels are actually very good. This is his website, so go and have a look, especially if you're in the UK. He's based down south. I also need to give a shout out to a couple of people and companies who assisted me, because there was a bit of a parts shortage and I needed a few bits and pieces for my bike. So the individual who probably doesn't want to be named for the mech, thank you very much. Also One Bike in Singapore, thank you very much. And finally, through the post, I got this from a chap who has probably a twisted sense of humour. He sent me a cycling jersey. You might think, well, he's just sent a cycling jersey. There is a bit of a twist in this. That logo, if you're not familiar with what that logo is, that is a Boeing logo. And he sent me a Boeing official endorsed product cycling jersey. So I found that quite entertaining, along with the note he sent, which I probably shouldn't really read out. So that's those things. Now I also need to make an apology. I think it's an apology, because I got a bit of a rifting from a chap or chapess. I've probably shot myself in the foot already here. In my last video, or one of the videos before it, I said, "Hello Hambini fans, boys, girls, transvestites, transsexuals, and anyone else in between." The anyone else in between was actually 0.4% according to the stats for the past 28 days of people who identified themselves as not being one or the other. Apparently, using the word transsexuals and transvestites is marginalising groups or vulnerable groups. I'm not quite sure, but I'm saying sorry for that. I won't say that again, so I'm sorry. Now, there was a bit of an uproar, I guess, on this video which I did on the Light Carbon Pro X wheels. And it wasn't actually about the wheels. It was a passing comment that I made at the start, which was they sent me the wheels and they didn't ask for anything. They just literally sent the wheels. Now, some YouTubers do go and approach other YouTubers like me and then demand payment to have their product put online. So for example, bottom bracket, send that to a YouTuber and they expect you to send some cash with it. So this is a transcript of that. Now the individual concerned, I haven't named them, but there's plenty of speculation in there. Now there's all sorts of stuff going on in the background, and I will do a video just about that, and then you'll probably understand some of the shenanigans that goes on that I generally, in fact I don't partake in, but if you want feedback on that, have a read of that. This is a video that GCN put out, which was the Lotus 110/109 versus a modern superbike. Now in this video they basically said that this bike, which has a very, very aerodynamic position for the rider, was just as fast or just as slow as a modern day or Bayer, which you can see here. I think that's Simon who's on there. He's pedaling along He's nowhere near as aerodynamic as the Lotus 109 or 110. I mean, look at that. Look at the difference. I mean, it's like night and day. And in the outcome of that was the same. You know, some people, a lot of people have asked for me to comment on that, and I just think it's just journalism gone mad. I wouldn't even call it journalism. I don't even know how you could get close to that. I mean, a modern day bloke on a bike, 0.3 CDA, probably a bit more than that, 0.35. The Lotus bike, 0.23, 0.24, something like that, and that's on a bad day. I mean, it's just not, I don't even know. So the short answer is, do I think it's legit? No, I don't. Right, here we go. Here are the winners of the competition to figure out who would get the closest to where Ganna ended up. So Damien Hall and Paul Dunn both guessed 56.8. So I'll contact them, or if you can contact me to arrange your stickers, that'd be fantastic. And then we came on to some of the questions from the community post, which some people asked. And the first one, which was extremely popular, was, what is it like taking PT up the AR Star E? Well, I mean, really, you need to ask PT. I mean, once he's had black or brown, you know what they say, you never go back. So there you go. I think he'd have the ride. He's had the ride of his life, basically. It's just no one else gets close. Really close. Very close. I'm going to stop there. I've already done an apology in this video, so I don't want to do an apology. Can you rank the bike brands according to their product quality from the bikes you've checked so far? Now, one of the questions, or one of the comments that lots of people make is Hambini only gets the crap frames. That's not strictly true. What happens is you see the frames where people send them in and say, yeah, ream everybody. There's a lot of frames that you don't see, which are, I mean, quite a lot of my stuff now is insurance claims. So I generally act as expert witness for claimants. So people going after the bike company or people going after the bike shop. Based on all of that, this is what I think is the table of build quality. So just to go through that, to give you some context, up here, that is really a league of one. I haven't seen anyone get close to that. So that includes all the frames that come on and are on video, and where bikes have been smashed or bikes have been involved in accidents and all that kind of thing, carbon failures, all that. That is well, you know, received, well engineered. The older look stuff, the modern day look stuff, I don't think is as good. Wind space, I mean, in here you've got a load of Chinese companies which were historically OEMs that have now branched out and then gone under their own banner, or they're getting an OEM frame and then sending them out. So, you know, people call them open moles, but it's a catalogue frame. I'm not saying any of them do it, but you can see there's a lot of parts commonality between all of them lot. When you look, you know, the headsets, some of the seat posts, all of that. Seat post mechanisms all seem to come from the same place. And then in terms of, you know, the big brands, let's say, the Western brands, the newer Cannondale I think is quite good. Historically, I've slated them on this show, and rightly so. Argon 18, and then below here, below this line, I'd say is ropey. So Merida is, you probably could draw the line through Merida, really. But Giant has you know, loads of people claim against bike shops for Giant bottom brackets being undersized, and it's just completely clear cut. The bike shops tend to settle in one way or another. They either get them fixed or they warranty the frame. So you know, people think, oh, the build quality is really good. Okay, well, what do you measure it as? Do you measure it as number of wrinkles, which is a bit of a saucy subject, or do you measure it in terms of dimensions, and dimensions is very, very clear cut. Focus, yeah, okay. And then you've got, oh god, I can't even bring myself with this lot. Stalk, Canyon, Specialized, Trek, Pinarello, Cervelo, Dolan. I mean, they are garbage. You want to avoid them. Not very good at all. I mean, Paul on Map Deck Cycles channel, he's had so many Dolans in. It's just a joke. And then these two at the bottom, the Open and the Bowman, I mean, those faults are so bad that they'd put you in hospital. So I wouldn't go near them. Next one. This chap called Schnippy asks about Chinese products from AliExpress, and should you be paying 3 or 4 more times for a Western branded product with the same specs? Canyon Aero is an example, and you can read the rest of it. Now, when I was at Eurobike this year, the word on the street, now I was actually part of one of the large bearing companies. I was with them as a guest. Well, not as a guest, as a YouTube celebrity, let's call it. Anyway, the word on the street is basically that Sensor is gonna send out an electronic group set. I think that is almost guaranteed. Now, rumor has it was going to be early 2023, but only they know for sure. They may have some teething problems. They may have some patents to get over. Don't know. I don't think the patent's really valid in China, but there you go. Is it worth it? Well, the thing is, a mechanical shifter, the cost of making one of those must be horrendous compared to 2 switches and a box full of electronics in the battery behind you. I mean, the price difference will be way cheaper to make the electronic group set, because now it's 10 years, 12 years down the line. It's bound to be cheaper. Is it worth it? Well, if people are going to pay it, then they're going to charge it. But, and this is the big but, there's been such a huge leap. I don't know if the market will sustain that, and only time will really tell. Yeah. Right, Dick Ramdas. I think this might be a bot, but there you go. Should I be concerned about the rash that I've now developed from using a mobile grease which you recommended as summertime chamois cream? Well, I didn't recommend it as summertime chamois cream, so whoever did, please let me know, because they're a genius. We love giving healthcare advice on this show. Next question, why don't you post aero frame results? And that question came from multiple people, and the answer is fairly straightforward. These are 2 bikes, so the one on the right is my bike, the one on the left is not my bike. They are both considered bikes. Okay. If you take the wheels as an example, the wheels are a common size to both bikes. So they're 700 by 25, 23, whatever it is, 622 by whatever it is, I can't remember. So it's a fixed size, and you're trying to make a wheel fit in those dimensions. When it comes to a frame, and what I've done is I've flipped this frame around and overlaid it on top of this one. Now, you can see the Cervelo, which is behind, it has the same size wheels, but there's so many dimensions that are different because of the frame size. So it's fixed on the back wheel, so that's the datum. First thing you can see, okay, it's not a perfect shot. The wheelbase on my bike is bigger. I mean, it is a bigger frame. The handlebars are higher relative to the wheel. Yeah, so that's the top of my handlebars, and the top of the Cervelo handlebars are there. So you're going to get much better spike aerodynamics from the Cervelo, and then obviously there's the seat. Now you could say, oh, Hambini's put 2 extremes of frames on there, but it's only small deviations, and it will cause quite a big difference in your drag number. So the reason I don't do it is, even if you get frames that are the same size, you will not be able to give an accurate number. It will vary between people. Now, I've seen it where people actually put themselves in a wind tunnel, myself included, where something which you might consider to be trivial makes a difference. And when I say trivial, the toe overlap on the pedal. So if you move your if you move your foot back in the cleat, that'll have an impact on your aerodynamic, 2 or 3 watts. And that's because the interaction between the front wheel and your foot either gains or loses you, depending on how you want to look at it, that amount of power. So there's that. And then obviously the position of the handlebars makes a big difference, and the rotation of the handlebars. Now on this bike, on the Windspace, the handlebar's fixed, so it's fixed at that angle, you can't rotate it. But on my time bike, the Skylon, it's just a standard handlebar, round handlebar, so you can have whatever angle you want. Those subtle differences can completely change the aerodynamics of the bike. So I am generally reluctant to say one frame is faster than the other. I'll give general guidance as to where, well, it's a fast frame or it's not. I can give you that general guidance, but to give you an absolute value is basically a waste of time. And that is it. Now, if you did enjoy that video, remember to smash that like button. If you've got any questions or comments, do put them in below, because I do read them all, and then they become the subject of other videos. So until next time, keep banging your hairdresser.